Good afternoon. Can everybody hear okay? We good? Okay, thank you. Welcome to this historic day at Rutgers University. My name is Greg Trevor, and I am Senior Director of Media Relations here at Rutgers. Before we begin, I want to take a few moments to go over the program for today's news conference. President Barchi will give remarks, followed by Julie Hermann. After Ms. Hermann completes her remarks, we will take questions on the search and selection process. The co-chairs of the search committee, Dick Edwards and Kate Sweeney, are also available to answer your questions. Members of the Rutgers staff will be in the audience with microphones so that you can all hear each other's questions and that folks who are watching on the live feed can also hear your questions. When the mic is placed in front of you, please identify yourself and your news organization before asking your question. Thank you very much. And now I am pleased to introduce Rutgers University President, Dr. Robert L. Barchi.
Well, good afternoon. Today, it is my great pleasure to announce the appointment of Julie Hermann as the new athletics director for our Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. Julie's experience, her leadership, and her vision, and her commitment both to athletic excellence and to the success of student athletes, both on and off the field, make her the ideal candidate to lead the Scarlet Knights during the pivotal years ahead. I also want to thank all the members of the search committee, particularly the co-chairs Dick Edwards and Kate Sweeney, who ensured that this process was thorough and that we made the best possible hire for Rutgers as we prepare to move into the Big Ten next year. Now, it's a particular privilege to welcome Julie Hermann to the Rutgers community. Julie is quite simply a remarkable leader, and she is precisely the person we need to continue to build and strengthen Rutgers athletics. For the past 15 years, she has been second in command within the University of Louisville Athletic Department, overseeing more than 20 sport programs, student development, fundraising, academic support, marketing, sports medicine, strength conditioning. You get the idea. It's no coincidence that during that time, the athletic programs at Louisville have enjoyed a meteoric rise through the Division I ranks. Indeed, Julie worked tirelessly with Athletic Director Tom Urich to resurrect the once troubled Louisville program and raise it to the level of prestige it enjoys today. Just this past year, the Louisville football program defeated number 4 Florida in the Sugar Bowl. The women's basketball team reached the national championship game, and the men's basketball team won the national championship. Julie is a proven fundraiser and has created many revenue-generating opportunities for Louisville during her tenure there. And she was, more importantly, instrumental in moving Louisville from the Conference USA to the Big East, and now from the Big East to the Atlantic Coast Conference. And her experience in guiding that program through conference realignment is critically important to us as Rutgers prepares to move into the Big Ten. Julie is one of the most respected athletics administrators in the country, and throughout her career, she has always kept a clear focus on the development of the student athlete. She is passionate about ensuring that they have a well-rounded collegiate experience, and she embraces our tradition of athletic excellence for our student athletes. Perhaps her crowning achievement at Louisville is the comprehensive L-Care program, which integrates all the elements that are critical to student athlete experience: sports medicine, sports performance, leadership training, academic support and tutoring, and career counseling. This innovative program has created an atmosphere that not only attracts top coaches and top students, but also produces successful graduates. Now, when I met Julie, it was clear to me that she shares my perspectives on the key principles for Rutgers athletics that are required for going forward: absolute integrity and transparency within the program and without, commitment to the university's core values, a deep concern for our student athletes, both in the classroom and on the playing field, a strong commitment to athletic excellence, and clear and measurable progress towards creating budgetary self-sufficiency for Rutgers athletics. These are fundamental principles as far as I'm concerned, and with Julie's leadership, we will deliver on every one of them. As we enter the Big Ten and join the Committee on Institutional Cooperation, an academic consortium of world-class research institutions, and with the integration of UMDNJ into Rutgers that will occur this July, Rutgers is poised to become a truly great comprehensive research public university. Julie Hermann is going to provide steady leadership for our athletic department during this exciting period of transition, and I'm incredibly happy to formally announce her as the new Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Rutgers University. Julie?
Thank you, Dr. Barchi, and good afternoon. First, I want you to know that I recognize what a truly extraordinary privilege it is to become the Director of Athletics at Rutgers University. Having been in the Big East for 8 years and knowing my brethren up here, I was well aware of Rutgers and many of its assets. I can tell you that's part of why I was so excited about the opportunity to compete for this opportunity. But it was not until I got here for the last several days and had an opportunity to meet the men and women of Rutgers that I was truly blown away, realizing who's here, how passionate they are, their sense of urgency to provide opportunities for young people. And so I too want to thank the 26-person committee that provided the search for Dr. Barchi, and in particular the executive committee, and also Kate Sweeney and Dr. Edwards. They, first of all, had me at hello when I met them, and it's just been such a privilege to begin to meet the people that make up Rutgers, because their passion for Rutgers and sense of pride in what we will accomplish over the next 5 years, and I hope well beyond, is part of why I was so excited about the opportunity to come here and lead the team into the Big Ten, which is a phenomenal opportunity. It gives Rutgers an opportunity to soar in a limitless way, in every way that we can dream. We have a ton of work to do, but I can't tell you how privileged I am to join this team and become team leader for what I believe is a fantastic athletic department. And to do it connected and on the hip of such an extraordinary academic institution. It's really the first time I've had the opportunity to be connected to this level of faculty. It was my privilege throughout this process to have a chance to meet at least a few of the deans, and I was blown away by their passion and their knowledge and their know-how and their capacity. And so to be able to continue to grow this athletic department alongside this academic mission with its values is a privilege I'll never forget and I will never take for granted. And so I want to thank Dr. Barchi in particular for your courage, for giving me this opportunity. It is a privilege I'll never forget. I'm deeply affected by it and will be for all the days that I'm now a Scarlet Knight. So thank you, sir. And we'll go ahead and open it. It's my job to open it for questions. I did want to add, I failed to add, I did not get here alone. I want to be really clear about that. I have an extraordinary pit crew that helped me get positioned. A couple of them are here. The CEO of the National Association of Women's Athletic Administrators, Patty Phillip, is here today. Patty, raise your hand. Robin Harris, the commissioner of the Ivy League, is here today, and these are examples of people that really helped me get ready for this opportunity. So many colleagues across the country helped me, and most of all, there is no way that I would be here today had I not had now 16 years of mentorship by what is truly the best athletic director in the nation, and Tom Jurich. Tom is an extraordinary man. A lot of people talk integrity, but Tom lives his integrity. And creating integrity is not a simple task. You have to live it, and you have to allow an environment in which people can be honest and transparent. And I've said many times, you can work a lifetime and never work for somebody like Tom Jurich. And so I owe this opportunity to him. And I know one of my goals, amongst many things, will be to make Dr. Barchi proud, but it's also to make Tom proud. And so I want to thank him as well. So, questions?
Hi. David Mattow, New Jersey 101.5 Radio News. 5 weeks ago, when the video surfaced of what happened with the basketball coach, many people in New Jersey were embarrassed and felt humiliated. Could you talk a little bit about what kind of a culture you intend to create here at Rutgers and what you have to say to the people of New Jersey about what you want to do? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Dave, I think it's really important, and I've already had an opportunity to meet with, I think, all of the coaches, and I think there's no one on that staff, no one in our head coaching staff that doesn't believe that we need to be an open book, and that we will no longer have any practice anywhere, anytime that anybody couldn't walk into and be pleased about what's going on in that environment. It is a new day, it is already fixed, and there's no one that doesn't agree about how we treat young people with respect and dignity and build trust. And to a level of which, and I believe that Rutgers will quickly become best practices in this, because we want to say to the parents of America, drop your wildly talented son or daughter on this campus, because that will never happen again on this prestigious, fantastic campus. Sir?
Hi, Tom Litchie from the Star Ledger. Going into the Big Ten, you will have the lowest paid football coach in the Big Ten, the lowest paid football staff. You have a president who has already said that Rutgers is not going to spend with Michigan and Ohio State. What is your commitment going forward as Rutgers prepares to go into the Big Ten in terms of football?
Oh,
Your football commitment going forward to the Big Ten, since you'll be operating at...
Number one. Coach Flood has a huge task. We all have huge tasks in front of us, but there's no doubt going to the eastern side of the Big Ten is tough on anybody, and it's a steep hill. But I trust Coach Flood. I think he's a fantastic coach. We will invest time, talent, and treasure in him. We do not need to spend what Michigan spends. I don't know how they spend all that money. We will do more with less, and because that's what we've done at Louisville. A lot of people look at Louisville now and go, gosh, they've got $88 million. That is not where we started. We started at $14 million, and we just consistently found a way to take care of the most urgent matter at the time and be really, really smart stewards of the dollar that we have, and that's our commitment.
Just as a follow-up to that.
Sir.
Since you're coming from the football program that had the lowest APR in the Big East, to the highest one, did winning football come at too high a price at Louisville?
No, because when that happened, we weren't winning. So, unfortunately, that's the case of a coach letting go of 21 players for other separate reasons back in 2008 or 9. And so our APR now is 9.71, and the year before was 9.48, but the average of the 6-year cohort is what put us at the bottom of the Big East from really one class. So that's how that happened.
Welcome, George Falkowski from News 12, New Jersey. Certainly, you've been very aware of what's been going on here these past weeks and months. And I guess it's the same question we asked Eddie Jordan when he came in, too, is what makes you the right person to take all this on at this time? What makes this opportunity not daunting, but a challenge that you want to accept?
Well, I'm a builder at heart. Every opportunity I've ever had in collegiate sports, which is now over 30 years, I've never gone to any program that was built, not one time, not even as a student athlete. When we went to Nebraska, they had never been ranked, and we finished top 5 in the country, and Wyoming had never been ranked, and Georgia had never been ranked, and Tennessee had never been ranked, and on and on. And for darn sure, Louisville had never, Louisville was not there. So I'm a builder at heart, and part of my attraction for this opportunity is knowing that many things are coming together. A fantastic academic institution, an athletic department with some great tradition, and the opportunity in the Big Ten, which we will take advantage of to continue to position ourselves to get as competitive as possible in as many sports as we can.
Steve Politti from the Star Ledger as well. As you probably have recognized, there's a deep divide here at Rutgers. A lot of people in the community still support your predecessor. Curious, what will you say to them to try to win them back, and what is your message or overall plan to start the healing process here?
Well, I think that I've said many times, I think, when I was interviewing, that the healing process, to some extent, starts from the inside out. It starts with staff, and it starts with our coaches. These were the people that were so deeply affected by what took place, because while they were not responsible, it splashed all over them. And so we're going to get together as an athletic department inside this fantastic institution and come out with a message about who we are and how we stand and how we operate. And we'll take that message out to all of the people who care about Rutgers, including donors, and including donors that have been deeply hurt by this. I'm well aware that many people who support this institution were deeply hurt by what took place. And while I can't do anything to fix that, what I can do is go sit with them and share the mission vision of what we believe can happen in athletics, and we'll find out if they're still Rutgers people or if they, what else inspired them. But we'll definitely take an opportunity to visit with them. And I'll be on a listening tour. I'll be listening.
Mike
Sir?
Bevish with WCTC Radio in New Brunswick, home Rutgers football for 70 years almost. As far as the basketball goes, you talked about the commitment to football and the fundraising that you had. One of the things that's kind of been left on the table is the plan to expand and beautify the RAC. What about any plans you might have for that, or where you have to get up to speed on that plan?
Well, I have to get up to speed on almost everything, but I can't wait to see the progress on that and the continued conversation on it, and really look forward to getting in there and seeing what we can do and how fast we can do it.
What kind of commitment will there be to that?
Very committed. I come from the Yum Center. Very committed to all facilities and really nice basketball facilities.
Hi, Julie. Ryan Dunleavy from New Jersey Press Media Newspapers. Could you just talk from your experience at Louisville how you expect to handle coaches coaching on the last year of their contract, given the stigma that exists with that in the public and in recruiting circles?
What was the very last part?
The stigma that exists about coaches coaching in the last year of their contract in the public and in recruiting circles. How do you expect to handle that?
Well, I've been managing coaches for 16 years, every kind of possible coach. And it's my job to partner with every coach we have to figure out how to best facilitate their success. And that is 99% of what a good athletic director does. When we get to a point where it's not working, then that conversation will take place with that coach. I'm not an ambush firing person. If it's not going well, it's not, no one's confused about that. But I'll be partnering with them the way I did with the coaches at Louisville.
Yes, Ms. Hermann. Brian Thompson from NBC in New York. Could you address this report from 1997 in Sports Illustrated talking about the incident you had with your assistant coach, Ms. Hermann? They alleging that there was a video in which you were caught saying, "We don't want any surprises come February. It'd be hard to have a baby in the office." And then that she quoted you as saying you could be fired, and then she won a $150,000 settlement.
There's a video. I'm sorry, did you say there's a video?
They referred to a video, a wedding video, in which you may have said that.
Okay. There's no video, trust me. But, through the course of, I've been managing people for 25 years, and through the course of 25 years, hundreds of student athletes and coaches, and unfortunately there's occasions in which some of those dialogues end up being litigated. And it was litigated. While I do not agree with the outcome, it's already been litigated, and there's really nothing else to comment on.
It did not happen, though? The way
What did not happen?
it was described in the article?
I'm not familiar with the article you're talking about. I'm not familiar with what you read to me.
Can I read it to you?
Sure. Yeah.
Specifically, she was quoted in the article as saying, Ginger Heinlein, "Does it mean it might come down to not having a baby or losing my job," when talking about the pregnancy, and she quoted you as saying, "It might."
I'm not familiar with that whatsoever.
You don't remember that, though?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Over here, Julie, Tara Sullivan from the Bergen Record. I also read a quote where, in one story where you talked about being satisfied as a number two, that was a job that you enjoyed and could see doing for your career. So if you could just explain to us, what changed? Was it this opportunity? Was it something in you? What changed? And why here, which is a job, not just a number one job, but one that many perceive as rife with challenge?
I have had until today the greatest job in sports, in college sports. Being number two for Tom Jurich was an extraordinary privilege. And until an opportunity that had the ingredients of Rutgers, I had never been interested necessarily in the seat. Despite all the phone calls and despite all people encouraging me to do so, it was going to be a very specific fit that inspired me to step out of the greatest job in college sports. And based on as I said earlier, what I believe Rutgers is capable of in athletics, and the opportunity in the Big Ten and our location and everything that's wrapped around this unbelievable athletic department, it was an opportunity I didn't want to miss. I wanted to get in and compete, and again, I'm really privileged to be here because of it.
Anyone else?
We're good?
One more. Right here.
Key Sergeant from the Asbury Park Press. I don't know how much you want to talk about personally, but can you just talk about some of the obstacles you might have faced growing up, adopted, and losing your father at the age of 16?
Well, I'm really an incredibly blessed person. One, to be adopted, and I was adopted from birth, so I never knew that I wasn't adopted. And my older brother's adopted, and I'm adopted, and my younger sister's their natural child. And so when she used to bug us, we used to tell her that she was actually the adopted child, just to bother her. And she would scream in terror that she wasn't their natural child. But we actually loved being adopted because we felt we'd been handpicked. And so being adopted is always a privilege. And I'm, as I said earlier to someone, I'm absolutely my father's daughter. And when he passed, when I was 16, I felt that I'd had 16 years with the greatest man that was worth 70 years. And so I don't think I've cried about it since he passed, but thank you for the opportunity. No, I was raised by the greatest man, and it wasn't until I met Tom Jurich that I met someone like my father, and it's part of why I just love those both those men so much. Thank you.
I don't know if this will follow that up well, but I'll change the subject. Can you talk a little bit
It got
about?
a little dark?
Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your familiarity with Rutgers? I mean, people talk about you being at Louisville and the athletic programs there across the board having good success. What familiarity do you have working with all the different programs here at Rutgers, being members of a league for the last several years?
Well, I was, I've had the pleasure of watching, Rutgers compete against us for 8 years and watch their coaching styles. For a living, I watch coaches. And so any team that comes to our campus, I know how good my coaches are and what they're doing and what they're about. I watch the other coaches, in part because you never know when you need to hire. And the hiring process doesn't start when your coach leaves you. You've always got to know who's best in class out there. Who's somebody, you love how they operate, you love how they interface with their team. And so it's been a pleasure to be watching this coaching staff for a long time. And just knowing how we operate in the Big East and kind of what the Big East stood for, and being familiar with the standards of Rutgers and knowing the great academic heritage that is here. And as good as it was, or as good as I thought it was, it exceeded that. My goal is that the athletic teams get as competitive in the Big Ten as the faculty are. If we can bring the athletics up to where the faculty are, we're going to do just fine, and I think the boss will be pleased.
Back over here. Can you describe to us how you convinced the committee, without having specific football experience, how did you convince them that you could manage the football program in particular?
Well, I manage coaches for a living, and whether it's the rowing coach or the football coach, and I have done managing of football. You're not number two in any athletic department in the country not interfacing with the for-profit sports. And in my case in particular, because all the areas that serve them, whether it's medicine or sports performance or the student welfare or student discipline, it's a list of those areas. I oversee all the areas that service every sport at Louisville. So often when there was an issue, it actually fell right to my plate to manage. So I've managed up and over and on occasion down with several of the coaches quite a bit. Fortunately, the two head coaches we have, and Charlie Strong and Rick Pitino, don't require a lot of course correction. In fact, almost none. Those are extraordinary coaches. It's been a privilege to serve them and to be there for them and provide everything that we can, me individually and Tom and I as partners, in taking care of all 23 of the sports that we have at the University of Louisville.
Sort of a follow-up to that, I think it's widely held perception that Tom is one of, if not the best AD in the country. I think people will see you as the number two and wonder how much of that was your vision and how much of that was him. If you could speak to that, I mean, what level of the fundraising did you handle? What level of the facility improvement was you doing separate from Tom?
Well, I've never known how to talk about that because Tom and I are so connected at the hip. As I was talking to somebody, we talk 18 times a day, and I honestly could not tell you where he starts and I start, and where he ends and I end. It's been a privilege to be a part of every single thing that we've done, whether it's fundraising, whether it's opening, or whether it's closing an ask, or whether it's being part of the cultivation of that ask, whether it's coach selection or coach management. There's no part of our athletic department that he, from the beginning. Now I'm a seasoned administrator, but from the very beginning, when I was 33. He made certain I was everywhere I needed to be. When we when we beat Florida State on our home field in the pouring rain in the middle of a hurricane, which I didn't know hurricanes could reach Louisville, but it did. And we had a chance to upset number 4 Florida State that night in the suite. That was really the beginning of charting going to the Big East. And it was midnight, and I was ready to go home. And Tom's like, no, come here. You're staying here, because dialogue was going to happen about what our next, So Tom has always been that way. He not only gave me a seat at the table, but he gives me a seat at his table. So I don't know how to separate out the body of work. I just know I was incredibly blessed to be given the opportunity that he could have selected hundreds of thousands of other administrators to join him on that project. And he selected me, and how lucky am I?
Okay, 2 more questions. I think someone right here. Next to Steve.
Hi, Julie. Brendan Prunty from the Star-Ledger. Given that you guys just erected the Center, will that help once you get up to speed on the RAC plans with carrying it through to the end?
I would think so, because the Center was a pretty massive project for us. And it was a project not just by the time you're doing design build, but also, all the political parties that were involved with that. It was a huge hot potato in our community. But more importantly, I've been designing buildings for us for a long time. We've built over $250,000 worth of facilities on our campus, and that doesn't include the $253 million Center. So we've been building buildings for 15 years all along the way, and I've been on every part, from the fundraising end to the actual designing of the building to, I have a secret love of architecture, and so I've literally on graph paper designed buildings and told people to engineer it, and they've come back, and that's the building we've built. So I have a particular love of design build and ensuring that when you build something the magnitude of the buildings that are being built in sports today, that you find a way to make certain that if we're going to spend those dollars, that it services as many student athletes, as many coaches, and as many constituents as you can, to make certain that you're using every dollar wisely. So I'm really looking forward to see how far they are, or what the conversations are about the RAC and where it's at, and ensuring that whatever we do benefits as many people as possible.
Cameron Bowman with Rutgers today. As a female in a male-dominated position, do you feel like you bring some different skill sets to the job? And can you also talk a little bit about the importance, the historical importance of being the first female athletic director at Rutgers?
Because Tom's such a great advocate, I don't even think of athletics as male. I get it is male-dominated, but in my building it's not male-dominated. In fact, it's probably female-dominated. We have Tom surrounded. So, and then on the other hand, I've been a woman in collegiate athletics all my life. I don't know anything different than being around the men that have helped us, make it happen. So for me, it's really natural opportunity to step into. It's certainly a privilege to be the first anything, on the Rutgers campus. But I just see it as the next opportunity, and as I've said, I just feel so privileged that Dr. Barchi gave me this opportunity, and am absolutely passionate and urgent and intense and unrelentingly sleepless about making certain we go quick.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.